Hello, everyone. Please keep supporting Gene Valentino's Truth Podcast. We need our voice to get out there far and wide and help save our country.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Let's keep the conversation going with Raymond Lopez. He's a Democratic alderman from Chicago. And Gene Valentino. I don't know where he's been, but he's a Republican strategist, and it's always a pleasure to see him. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
So House Speaker Mike Johnson, well, he spoke to Newsmax this week saying the Senate's DHS funding bill has to change. Take a listen.
We're going to have to get the entire department funded immediately. Events like Saturday night illustrate once again what a heightened threat environment we live in and what a dangerous time. This is no time to be playing political games.
Let's start with you, Gene. You've been playing first edition hooky, so let's get your take on this.
Not intentionally. Good to be with you. This is a situation where enough's enough and we've gone far enough. And it's a shame it had to come to this on the wake of a third assassination attempt against the president. We have protocols that are now being suggested in Alana's previous story that we're going to have the president, Senator Kennedy, stepping in and saying that the president needs to intercede. This is where Congress needs to behave and to step up and do their job. It is inappropriate in the general sense to see the President of the United States have to intervene in the deliberations in Congress. This is but it seems that's what catches their eye, that's what catches their ear, and for all the wrong reasons, I think there will be a settlement.
The only place in America where you don't have to do your job, but you must be paid.
That's Congress for sure. Raymond, curious to get your perspective here because to Gene's point, there's a lot of fracture, whether it's in the Republican Party, but in the Democrats as well. They don't seem to want to move even an inch on this. They blame policy. They say that there's a lot of issues with our immigration, with ICE, with DHS. But the issue is they just don't want any sort of regulation related to people crossing our borders and any enforcement once they're here. I mean, is that a fair assessment? What do the Democrats actually want?
Well, first off, let me just remind you both that we had this conversation when the Senate passed their version of the funding bill about a week and a half or so ago.
Yes.
And I think I said at that time, maybe it'll pass, just depends on what the House's peculiarities are going to be. Well, we found out what their peculiarities are going to be. And I think with regards to the Democrats, I think their playbook right now is when you see a train wreck, the best thing to do is just step out of the way, to be perfectly honest with you. The Republican infighting is what is causing this stalemate right now. You have the Senate version of the bill, which had zero funding because they said that the big, beautiful bill fully funded the Department of Homeland Security for years. You have the House side, which says we need money now to fund it and not trying to tap into what was previously authorized under the big, beautiful bill. And then you have Democrats who I think finally made a strategic point and said nothing, because they were the ones who were carrying the water for the shutdown for so long, making this about, as you said, open borders and lax immigration policy. Now they don't have to say anything. So we'll see how long this plays out.
You know, I must say, it's really beautiful having your name straight across the wall. You inspire me. Awesome. Looks great.
I want to see that next episode. John,
you got it. But I got to get this topic in. Another political scramble on Capitol Hill. The Supreme Court taking a bite out of the Voting Rights Act, striking down a Louisiana voting map as racial gerrymandering. The 6-3 decision could pave the way for other states to follow suit. This, as the Florida legislature has okayed a new congressional map ahead of the all-important midterm elections. Now, Gene, we've seen this take place over the last several years, from New York all the way now to Louisiana and Florida. So how could this actually reshape American politics this year and going forward?
Well, it's going to be, it's going to finally do what the Constitution and our founding fathers intended. The term coterminous, one man, one woman, one vote. It means that there's balance and parity in the voting districts, not based on race or any other peculiar issue, but rather based on a balance between the districts, so that the people we vote and bring to Congress, or anywhere else for that matter, are that their vote counts in the same proportion as someone 2 counties away. And it can't be based on these crazy, irregular maps. It's got to be based simply on the weight of the vote. If there's 60% Democrats in Florida and 40% Republicans, the only job you have is to make sure the district itself has the same amount of people as the district next door, but that it has the same 60-40 ratio. After that, trying to gerrymander a district so there's 90% Republican or there's 90% Democrat is what's brought this issue to a head.
Well, the Democrats are very upset about this, Raymond, in terms of how this will affect them and the election outcomes for the midterms. We heard from House Speaker, or House Minority Leader, rather, Hakeem Jeffries. He spoke about this, calling it despicable, warning it could truly undermine fair elections. Do you agree with him as to this ruling?
I think if we take a step back and remove the emotion of the Civil Rights Act and our connections to it and look at it plainly based on fact, what we have seen is a complete manipulation of the original intent of this law. The original intent was to ensure that black voters were not disenfranchised. And what we've gotten in the decades since, even right now in the city of Chicago, are maps that are so twisted, gerrymandered, and stretched simply to encapsulate ethnic groups to get a desired outcome on election day, that you're no longer creating districts that are cohesive, that are contiguous, and that encapsulate neighborhoods, communities, or cities on a larger scale. You are manipulating outcomes under the guise of the Voting Rights Act. And I think that's where we should all be very concerned. I know I'm concerned about that. And I think that as we talk about the gerrymandering, and if we go down this road, I think then we also need to start having a conversation about how we have nonpartisan remapping commissions at the state level, because this manipulating district boundaries just to get a desired outcome is completely undemocratic, it's completely un-American, and it has to come to a stop.
You're absolutely right, Raymond. And the thing is, some things just never change. Democrats are still pushing back on integration, this time politically. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth facing lawmakers again today, testifying about the war with Iran. Democrats quick to show their feelings about the conflict in Hegseth. How do you see this playing out today, Gene?
Well, Hegseth doesn't set policy, he enforces it. And he's doing so on behalf of his boss, direct boss, the president. And Democrat lawmakers were screaming at him as if he was the policymaker yesterday. And I don't know what they expect from him in that regard. Whether it's him, or Lee Zeldin in another committee, both speaking to the representatives of that committee. They want to get into substance and fact, which yields information as to how you formulate or justify a budget. Hegseth couldn't even go there. they were so caught up trying to catch him on something as they were with Selden. It's not fair, and it's got to end. I think the smart thing to do is to let these appointees of the president meet with everybody privately so the cameras aren't rolling and they can get some good input.
Yeah, not to mention our adversaries are watching this all around the world. They're seeing the way in which Americans are infighting, undermining our Secretary of War there. I hate to have to keep asking you to answer for the Democrats, Raymond, but I know you are one, and you're a rational one at that. I mean, do you think it was fair, the line of questioning we saw yesterday for the Secretary of War? He seemed to be sort of laughing it off. He was very stoic and answering the questions. But to Gene's point, it did get a bit out of hand.
Well, I think all of these hearings are becoming like junior kangaroo courts at this point in Congress,
Right.
where it's all about who can get the best one-liner out to use in a social media post to try to raise money for your reelection or your upcoming Senate bid or what have you. And I think that that's truly a disservice to the American people because, as Gene said, there are serious policy questions and conversations that we should be having. We cannot forget that we are in a state of military action right now. And when you have members trying to have a gotcha moment with our Secretary of War, formerly Secretary of Defense, you know, yes, that plays into the hands of the soft war that's going on with China and Iran in our country now as they use social media to try to invalidate our society and our government through their social media presences targeting our youth. We are giving them all the ammunition they need to undermine us with these kind of hearings that are just designed to become clickbait. And Congress should know better, do better, and we should all expect better.
So true. Moving on to this, Cole Allen, the man accused in the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooter, apparently took a selfie in his hotel room before allegedly heading downstairs at the Hilton. Allen is due in court today, prosecutors arguing he should be detained without bond. What's your assessment of this, Gene?
Well, he should be detained without bond. This is something you could snipe at the effectiveness of Secret Service all day long. The fact is it worked. That's a very difficult building to put a perimeter around. I do like the White House ballroom for just that reason, being maybe a venue for these kinds of events in the future. The bottom line is that it would have been much more serious, and it certainly caught the ears and eyes of the media because they were there and they first witnessed firsthand the potential of their life at risk. So I think the outcome is going to be good in this regard. I think we've got to double down on the penalties for these wrongdoers. There's an attitude that they can almost feel like they can get away with it. The penalties have to be much more severe.
Definitely. Thanks so much, Raymond. I love your background. And Gene, don't stay away for so long. We appreciate your commentary.
Both of you come back. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.